Good morning and welcome back to Tabletop Tuesday here on Gaming with ADHD, where today we're going to do a review of Bites from BoardGameTables.com. In this game, you are controlling ants on their way back from a picnic to the anthill, trying to collect food along the way and score the most points by, well, honestly, a variety of factors. There's a lot of interesting mechanics that go into this game, and so we're going to go ahead and take a look at that. But before we get started, do make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I try to put out a few videos each week covering all sorts of tabletop content, and whether it's board games, miniatures, card games, role-playing games, dice games, let's be honest, any kind of game on the tabletop, I'd love for you to come along and see what we have to share. So, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and take a look. All right, so this is Bites. Now, this is the infamously small work table, so I don't have a lot of room to show off the whole thing, but we will kind of go through all of the components. Now, the first thing we have over here, this is our anthill. You can see that it's marked 43210. Basically, that represents the points that the ants are worth at the end of the game. Now, there are 5 ants. You've got green, yellow, red, brown, and purple. And then you also have different pieces of food that match those colors. We've got bell peppers for green, apples for red, bread for brown, yellow for cheese, and grapes for purple. Now, there's also 2 other types of food. You either got drops of wine or pieces of chocolate. Now, all of these are actually mixed up randomly. There's no inherent value to all of the pieces, but you are going to create a path from the anthill. Now, you don't have to keep all of the pieces of food in different orders. But it's very, very helpful. So you just try to, there's no specific order that you have to place it in. You just try to get it as, close as you can. Now, I just put a small selection there, and we're going to go ahead and leave our ants here. Now, you'll notice there are some extra pieces up here. We've got a little market, a piece of gold, a stick, some small pieces of food, and then we've also got the zebra ant. Now, these are all used for different parts of, or I mean, not different parts, but different modes of playing the game. Because before you get started, you're going to pick 4 different cards. Okay, you're going to pick one for the basic scoring rules. So in this case, we've got Overachiever. When the ants get to the anthill, they take the highest available space. So the first one to get there would go to 4. The last one would go to 0. You can also do it in reverse order. So the first one starts at 0, the last one goes to 4. And then there's another one that just kind of shuffles up the order that they're going to land in. The next is what you're going to do with the piece of chocolate. So in this case, it's the doubler. After your turn, take a second food for the ant that you just moved. So what you would do is you would take your piece of chocolate. If you had one, you would set it to the side, and you would be able to take an extra turn. Next, we have what do we do with the wine. So in this case, the collector, each wine drop is worth 1 point for each different type of food you have at least one of. There are 7 different types of food, so it's worth up to 7 points. And then finally, you have basically the alternate rules. So in this case, it's minimalist, so there's not going to be any extra effect. That's what I'm going to base the review on, mostly because that's what we've played pretty much every time we've played this game since getting it. Usually because this game actually is really good for teaching, not necessarily teaching, but introducing, say, newer players or people who don't play a lot of more complex board games into some of this hobby. So that's the first positive thing I'm really going to say about this. But there are options so you would swap one of the colors out with the zebra ant. or you would add in the gold pieces or the market. So that all comes off of the blue card. All right, now on your turn, what you're going to do is you're going to pick any one of the ants. It doesn't matter. You can pick any color. And you're going to take it, so in this case, we'll start with the green. And you're going to move it to the first available piece of food that matches that color. Now, once you've done so, you're then going to take either the first available piece in front of the food or the first available in back of the food. Now, that's really important because say that the red ant was already out and sitting on the apple, well, the green ant can't take this apple because the ant is already there. Okay? So I could either take the wine or I could take the red apple in this case. Okay? So you can't just pick whatever. You have to pick the closest one to you. But it does depend on which pieces of food are already occupied by ants. Now, the play is going to continue. Obviously, pieces of food are going to get removed from the board. Unless you have the zebra ant out, you will never land on the wine or the chocolate. But I can move the ant again, take the chocolate piece. And so as you can see, this trail of food is going to slowly disappear. And then once we get to the end, all of the ants are going to take a place on the anthill. And then that's how we're going to do our scoring. So as you've gone through your play and you're collecting different pieces of food, that will then get to the end of the game. And so in this case, so here's my stack of food, and here's the other players. So I've got a piece of wine, or a drop of wine, and I've got 4 different pieces of food. So the wine is worth 4 points. I was wrong when I said there's 7 different types of food, because the wine does not count, I believe. But so the wine is worth 4 points. Now, at the top of the stack, I've got the red ant, so that's worth 4 points. So I'm now up to 8. Next down the stack is the yellow. I don't have any, so I get no points there. Then we have the bread at 2 points, so we're up to 10. Purple, I'm up to 11. But then the green, because he's at the bottom of the stack, the green is worth 0, so I get no points for that. So I get 11 points total for the game. Now my opponent has an apple for 4. Does not have any wine, so no good there. Does have the cheese, so 7. Bread for 2. No grapes, and a bell pepper, and the piece of chocolate, but the chocolate's not worth anything because there's no chocolate ant. So my opponent has 7 points. Congratulations, I win the game. But for all intents and purposes, that's it. Now, things like the marketplace, you'll set that up along the path, and you can then swap out a piece of food. One thing I did forget to mention, you will take 1 piece of each kind of food and set it next to the anthill. And then as the ants are placed, then you get to take a piece of food from that stack. In addition, ants are not owned by each individual player. So you're not playing as the red ant or the green ant. You are just the big entity in the sky controlling all of the ants. So you can move any ant at any time. These little pieces of food are used to for a variety of purposes. Basically, it's going to depend on the special rule card. Sometimes, like one I know offhand, is that if you have, you'll take one of these tokens, and at the end of the game, you will get bonus points for however many of that particular type of food that you have. The sticks, you can lose points for the stick slowing down your ants and getting in the way. But overall, I mean, there's a lot of different variety. The number of cards that they give you, there's 3 different scoring options. There's 7 different wine options. Uh, Looks like 8 different chocolate options, and then 7 different special rules that that can modify how you'll score in the game. So overall, there is a lot of depth to this. I honestly really enjoyed this. We first found it at Dice Tower West this year, and were introduced to it, and we actually bought it at the show and brought it home. We enjoyed it that much. It is a nice light game. The rules are very easy to learn, very easy to teach, but there's also a deep amount of strategy because you have to pick which ant are you going to move. Is that next piece too far ahead? Are you too close to other ants that you can't pick up the piece that you want? There's a lot that goes into it and a lot of strategic choices that have to be made during the game, but it doesn't overwhelm anyone. We played with a couple from church relatively recently, and the wife is not a gamer at all. The husband can get into all of this kind of stuff, but games are not the wife's thing, and she really enjoyed this because it was easy enough to grab and understand how the game works. So overall, I absolutely do recommend this game. Look for it at boardgametables.com. And because I was dumb and did not look it up when I started this, let's go ahead and pull it up and take a look at it real quick, just so I can give you the official retail price. If I can find it. There it is. Okay, so the base game runs $40, and there are 2 expansions for $20 each. So there's a lot going on, and obviously it is designed to expand as well. So overall, I absolutely do recommend Bytes. Give it a look, and let me know down in the comments. Have you played it? Have you tried it? What do you think? And other than that, thanks for watching. Last thing I will say, we do have a couple links down to our social media down below on Twitter and Facebook. If you'd like to follow us there and see when new videos go live, we'd love to have you come along. And other than that, thanks for watching, and we will talk to you next time.